Just before we show you these pictures, we should warn you that it shows the moment of impact between the aeroplane and the helicopter, which you may find distressing. So here's the video.
A catastrophic midair collision near Washington, D.C., led Donald Trump to take an unprecedented step, immediately shutting down the entire airport. On January 29th, a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter and an American Airlines regional jet collided over the Potomac River, triggering widespread panic. Emergency responders raced to the scene, battling to save lives and restore order. How could such a tragedy occur so close to one of the most heavily secured cities in the world? Stay tuned, because the shocking truth behind this disaster could lead to the dismissal of top military officials. The doomed flight, American Airlines Flight 5342, was a Bombardier CRJ-700, packed with 60 passengers and 4 crew members, departing from Wichita, Kansas. Meanwhile, the Black Hawk was part of a routine military training operation carrying 3 personnel. It all ended in disaster. 67 lives were lost in the worst aviation accident on U.S. soil in nearly 2 decades. Among them, some of the nation's most promising young figure skaters, their dedicated coaches, and even world champions returning from an elite training camp. What was supposed to be the next chapter in their dreams turned into an unspeakable tragedy. Before we go any further, one thing is certain: this disaster was no simple accident, and what we uncover next will leave you absolutely stunned. As investigators rushed to the scene, a flood of questions emerged. Just moments before landing, the crew of Flight 5342 received a last-minute directive from air traffic control to change runways. But why? That sudden decision may have been a critical factor in what followed. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, swiftly launched an investigation, scrutinizing communications, air traffic protocols, and possible human errors. One undeniable reality: Washington's airspace is among the most crowded and hazardous in the nation, where military and civilian aircraft navigate a delicate, high-risk balance, one that, this time, failed catastrophically. Then came Trump's decision, a move that sent shockwaves through the aviation industry. With Washington, D.C., already in turmoil, he stepped in and ordered the closure of Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, a rare and drastic measure. His reasoning? Ensuring safety, giving investigators unrestricted access to the crash site, and making sure no further mistakes could endanger more flights. But Trump being Trump, he didn't stop there. He took direct aim at the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, blaming what he called woke policies for eroding safety standards. His words ignited a political firestorm, with some agreeing that safety should always come first, while others accused him of using tragedy to score political points. As news of the tragedy spread, its impact extended far beyond Washington. Families of the victims grappled with an unfathomable loss, their loved ones taken in an instant. The figure skating community, in particular, was shaken to its core. Promising young athletes who had devoted their lives to the sport were gone, and the coaches who had guided them toward greatness were lost. Tributes poured in across social media as the world mourned those whose aspirations were tragically cut short. This was more than an accident. It was a devastating moment that left everyone searching for answers. The questions surrounding this disaster kept growing. Why was the jet ordered to change runways so close to landing? Did the controllers know the Black Hawk was in the same airspace? Were there flaws in Washington's air traffic management? The NTSB had their work cut out for them, combing through every piece of data to determine exactly what went wrong. Some aviation experts pointed to human error, while others suggested deeper, systemic issues within the FAA's handling of high-risk airspace. One thing was clear: something had failed catastrophically, and it cost 67 people their lives. Washington's airspace has always been a challenge, with its constant mix of military, commercial, and private aircraft. It requires utmost precision and coordination. Yet, this tragedy revealed that even in one of the most controlled environments, fatal errors can still occur. Some experts called for an urgent transformation of air traffic control, greater automation, advanced technology, and stricter regulations. Others cautioned that no technology could substitute for highly skilled, experienced controllers capable of managing extreme pressure without mistakes. With 67 lives lost, the urgency of the debate had never been greater. As the airport shutdown took effect, Trump's decision dominated headlines. Was it an essential safety move or an overreaction? Some saw it as a necessary step in the wake of an unprecedented disaster. Others saw it as classic Trump, bold, controversial, and politically charged. His attack on the FAA only fueled the fire, with supporters backing his call for accountability while critics slammed him for politicizing a tragedy. Meanwhile, lawmakers in Congress wasted no time in demanding hearings, pointing fingers at both the FAA and military officials for allowing such a catastrophe to happen in the first place. The aftermath of the crash sparked broader concerns about aviation safety. How can coordination between military and civilian flights be enhanced? Do pilots need additional training for sudden runway changes? Are current air traffic control procedures still effective? While the NTSB investigation would eventually provide clarity, experts were already advocating for reforms. Enhanced flight protocols, better pilot training, and advancements in air traffic management technology were all under discussion. One thing was clear: this disaster would bring changes, whether Washington was ready or not. This wasn't just another accident. It was a wake-up call. A reminder that no matter how advanced aviation has become, human lives are still at stake every time a plane leaves the ground. 67 people never made it home that night, including some of the brightest young talents in the sports world. The weight of this tragedy will be felt for years. As investigators piece together what went wrong, one question lingers. Could this all have been prevented? The crash was still fresh in everyone's mind. But as experts search for answers, they realized this wasn't the only disaster happening in the skies. The planes that never touched down. The skies over the United States have been anything but peaceful lately, as a series of shocking plane crashes have raised serious concerns about aviation safety. In the past month alone, aircraft of all types, from military jets to commercial airliners, have gone down, leaving behind devastation, injuries, and lingering questions. Pilots have been forced to eject, passengers have been violently tossed from their seats, and entire buildings have been consumed by flames. Each incident has its own unique circumstances, yet they all point to a disturbing reality. Something is gravely amiss in the aviation world. Consider the recent crash at an Air Force base in Alaska. A state-of-the-art fighter jet, engineered for aerial supremacy, instead plummeted to the ground in a catastrophic blaze. The pilot? Lucky to escape. But why did a machine worth millions suddenly fail? The military is scrambling to figure it out. But let's be honest, when does the full truth ever come out? Meanwhile, in another shocking event, a passenger plane turned into a nightmare at 35,000 feet. Over 36 passengers ended up battered and bruised, some so badly hurt they needed immediate hospitalization. And yet, turbulence wasn't the culprit. So what was? A small plane took off from a California airport, soaring into the sky like any typical flight. But shortly after, it lost control and plunged down, crashing into a warehouse with devastating impact. Flames burst forth, metal buckled and twisted, and in mere seconds, lives were claimed. Inside the warehouse, workers were going about their usual tasks, never imagining that disaster would strike so violently. Just a few days later, another plane met a similar fate, this time in a tranquil neighborhood, where families slept unaware of the looming danger. Without warning, a massive explosion shattered the calm, turning an ordinary street into a chaotic disaster scene. People ran from their homes, eyes wide with fear, as thick black smoke filled the air and sirens wailed through the night. These crashes were not storms, not earthquakes, not anything people could predict, just planes falling from the sky with no warning. And the terrifying part? It kept happening. Then, there are the landings that no one could have planned for. One plane, its engines struggling to stay alive, dropped into the Everglades, skidding across the muddy ground before finally coming to a stop. The passengers had no time to react. One moment they were soaring through the sky. The next they were preparing for impact in a desolate place. Another plane, attempting to find safety, plummeted outside an airport, its debris scattered like shattered glass across the runway. Investigators arrived, perplexed, as they tried to piece together why yet another flight had ended in tragedy. Crashes like these are supposed to be rare, isolated events, but that's not the reality. One crash sparks another, and then another, each contributing to an alarming tally that no one wants to face. People will look into what happened. Experts will analyze every detail. Reports will be written, and officials will say they are doing everything possible to prevent another tragedy. But here's the real question. Are these accidents truly unavoidable? Or is there something much bigger going on that no one wants to talk about? If planes are failing this often, what does that say about the safety of the thousands of flights still taking off every single day? And even more unsettling, who is making sure that the next time you step onto a plane, you won't become just another headline in a story filled with disaster? With so many planes crashing, the real question is, would you know what to do if you were on one of them? How to survive a plane crash? Let's face it, thinking about a plane crash is uncomfortable, but avoiding the topic won't do you any favors if you ever find yourself in that terrifying situation. While flying is generally safe, being prepared for the unexpected can be the key to walking away rather than making headlines. So, what should you do if the worst occurs? And just as importantly, what mistakes could cost you everything? First, your survival plan starts long before you even buckle up. Choosing your seat isn't just about comfort. It could be a matter of life and death. The closer you are to an exit, the quicker you can escape. If you're seated near the back, count how many rows are between you and the nearest emergency exit. If the cabin fills with smoke or goes dark, feeling your way there could be your only shot at getting out. Your outfit matters more than you think. That stylish synthetic fabric? It melts. Wear long pants, long sleeves, and real fabrics like cotton. Flip-flops? Forget about it. You'll be stepping over wreckage, fire, and who knows what else. Closed-toe shoes only. And keep them on during takeoff and landing because those are the moments when disaster is most likely to strike. You might think you've heard this safety briefing countless times, but don't tune it out. This is important. Pay attention. Know where your oxygen mask is and how to use your seatbelt. Yes, really. And take a look at that safety card because every plane's layout is different. In an emergency, you won't have time to figure things out on the fly. Now, if things take a turn for the worse, and you hear a loud noise, feel the plane shaking, or see the oxygen masks drop, don't waste time wondering what's going on. Put your mask on quickly. Oxygen deprivation happens in seconds, and passing out means it's over. Secure your mask, tighten the straps, and breathe normally. It's not easy, but it helps. Once you're stable, you can assist others. Bracing for impact isn't just a suggestion. When you hear that gut-wrenching announcement to prepare for a crash, you need to get into position. Feet flat, head down, arms over your head. This isn't about comfort. It's about protecting your brain and minimizing injury. People who brace correctly have a better survival rate. Period. Survive the crash? The clock is ticking. Fire spreads in minutes. Smoke fills the cabin. And every second matters. Get that seatbelt off, because yes, people have died still strapped in. Forget your bags. That laptop isn't worth your life. Move fast, stay low, and follow your mental count to the nearest exit. Visibility might be gone, but muscle memory could save you. Once you're out of the plane, don't linger. Move at least 500 feet away from the wreckage and stay upwind. The fire, explosions, and toxic fumes all pose serious dangers. If others need help, assist when you can, but remember, your priority is your own survival. Stay put, though rescuers will be looking for you. and sticking with the group boosts your chances. In emergencies, many people freeze, waiting for instructions that never come. Don't let that be you. If you're clear on the plan, you won't hesitate when time is critical. Surviving a crash isn't just about luck. It's about being prepared, thinking quickly, and staying calm when everything seems to fall apart. Getting out of the crash site is only the beginning, but understanding why planes crash could be the key to preventing it from happening again. The unseen threats behind every flight. Flying may seem like a smooth and safe way to travel, but the truth is, things can go horribly wrong in the air. Most of the time, the cause of a crash boils down to a handful of major factors. The biggest one? Human error. Even the best pilots make mistakes, and when they do, the consequences can be deadly. Whether it's misreading an instrument, misjudging the weather, or just plain exhaustion, these errors can turn a routine flight into a disaster. And once a mistake is made at 30,000 feet, there's often no coming back from it. Aviation safety depends on everyone working together, and when communication breaks down, the consequences can be deadly. Technology plays a crucial role, aiding pilots in flight navigation and management, but it's not without its risks. Autopilot failures, navigation mistakes, or system malfunctions can leave pilots struggling to regain control. While modern aircraft have backup systems, they're not foolproof. When technology fails, pilots must be prepared to take command, though that's often easier said than done. Was this midair collision merely a tragic accident? Or is there a deeper, more troubling truth at play? Perhaps even a cover-up involving national security? With Washington Airport closed and unanswered questions mounting, the real story could be more shocking than we know. Could this catastrophe have been avoided? Or is it a sign of something even more dangerous lurking ahead? Share your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.